A cookie is actually a good rune. I find that like by wave 4, Victor usually runs if you pressure. Like you use your spells on cooldown. But I don't disagree that you can just play Futures Market and ignore Yon and just use your spells only to farm CS that you're gonna miss because you can't kill him anyway. But that means that he can move to every single fight and you'll lose every single fight in the river, right? Which, if you actually harass and pressure him in the lane, that doesn't happen. Because you have enough of a health advantage that most junglers will be able to, like most junglers with Victor will be able to fight in river level 4. So again, it just depends what you value. I don't think League of Legends is about a thing about like cookies are a bad rune always. Like if you know what you're doing with cookies and you have a good reason to be playing cookies, I don't see the issue with playing cookies. I see an issue when you play cookies. When you play cookies, I mean, even when you play like opportunistically with cookies, it's like the idea is Futures Market doesn't give you enough value unless you know exactly what you're doing with it. So the notion that Futures Market is always better is not true. It's better when you take it and have an idea for using it. That's when Futures Market is a better route. I think a lot of people like pretend like it's always better, especially because they listen to us talk about it and they're like, oh, that makes sense, it's much better. But the thing is, he explains why it's better because he has a specific strategy for using the rune. Whereas we are not explaining that cookies can be used with specific wave management strategies to ensure that you have enough mana to actually pressure your opponent. So there's more to it, basically, is what I'm saying. There's another layer that gets kind of concealed because we don't talk about it. Because taking Futures Market willy-nilly for fun because you think it's like whatever, right? Like you just take Futures Market because it's Futures Market. It's not particularly good as a route either. It's like whatever. Like sometimes it'll conveniently give you an extra 100, like 100 gold you need. But especially after the nerfs, it got a lot worse. I don't see the benefit of having cookies when you have so many backtimers. Alright, I'll give you an example. This Yon misplays and I get to chunk him down to 200 health, and now I have cookies in my inventory, which means I can pressure him harder because I have no mana issues. It really is that simple. One, like Jace, for example, like just mid-game, right? It's 10 minutes in, and you are playing a lane as a champion that has no mana. You don't spend mana. Cassante, I'll give you a random example. Cassante usually did this. He would stack his mana like cookies because he wouldn't fight you early game anyway. And he reaches a point where he magically gets like a random trade that chunks your opponent, and instead of having to go guess what? Cassante has a set of cookies that he can just spam chunk and he never runs out of mana, and now you're stuck because this guy never runs out of mana because he has 3 cookies in his bag. Because it gives him, at will, at any given point in the laning phase, literally like 300 to 400 worth of mana instantly. Like near instantly. It takes him like 10 seconds to chug all cookies. And then he'll have 400 points of mana worth of resources to just keep wailing at you in a lane. If you don't think that that exists, then you don't really play the game, is all I'm going to say, because there's plenty of times where you can find an advantage fighting someone and you can translate it through into something more through this pattern. Does it always happen? No. But to say that it never happens, also wrong, I think. Have you played Rek'Sai top lately? No, I have not played any Rek'Sai. Futures Market is insanely broken for Graves' power spike. You mean in jungle? Yeah, I don't disagree. It's good if you have a plan. That's literally what I said. But that means you have a plan. And to say that you always have a plan is just wrong. Pretending like it's a bad rune is just stupid. Like, you can say it's not you can say it's worse than Futures Market in some spots, but to say that it's just inherently a bad rune is just wrong. Because there's spots where some champs can use cookies to do things that they normally would not be able to. Like, for example, creating a roam timer because you have cookies and you normally don't have cookies. Like, that can be a really meaningful difference. And Rise is a great example of this. Rise used minion dematerializer in the past to get roam timers. They nerfed minion dematerializer and people just started taking cookies on him, and they did the exact same thing. And they just popped their cookies instead when they got low mana so that they could have enough mana to crash the wave and then still pressure their opponent. right now, I just don't think they've made enough changes to these blinds for them to be not the best. I think Jax and Rumble especially are just... They scale too well right now, and they're too strong in the laning phase for the most part.